Right. Going back, you'd finished King of Conflict. You were going out on tour, and you got hooked up with Slash. That was on the King of Conflict tour, was it?
Yeah, it was before.
Yeah,
Was
that
that
was
before?
before. Yeah, it was
Was it?
before. That was. I could remember our manager ringing us up and saying, we've been offered these 3 gigs. Well, no, it was 4 gigs we got offered.
Yeah.
I think it was Dublin, Belfast, Edinburgh, and Manchester, and we were too late to make the first gig, so we never got to do the Dublin one.
Right.
And we turned up in Belfast, and apparently they'd done a gig in Italy, and some fan had got on stage, jumped on his back and broke one of his guitars. So the minute we landed, like, a load of his security come over and was like, don't approach the band, don't approach Slash if he wants to speak to us. So we just kind of figured, that's it, we're not going to get to meet him in that. And then I think it was like 2 minutes before we were going to go on, we were all outside having a cig, and then this little guy, I'm sure he was shorter than me and I'm short, comes over like with a baseball bat on the, and he was like, "Are you the band?" And it was in. It was like, fucking hell, it's Slash.
Right.
It just looked, completely different.
Yeah.
And he was just really nice. And then after the next gig we saw him, and he was like, fucking great show. And then by the final one in Manchester, we'd heard that he'd asked for a t-shirt. We're like, oh nah. And then
and there's that famous photograph of him with your t-shirt on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, he's on stage with it, like playing, and then you saw some like European shows, and
Miles Kennedy.
Miles Kennedy was wearing it as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's mint.
And then,
really cool.
Yeah, and for like years, people used to say, "You photoshopped that. You photoshopped," and it was like, I don't even know how to use Photoshop. Yeah, it was amazing. And then I think a few years later we saw like they did like a classic rock free CD giveaway and Slash's favourite 20 songs, and he put one of our tunes and he put Bang Bang Bang, which is just insane. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's like in between BB King and the Ramones, I think. So it's
Brilliant.
like,
Crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
But what, him and the whole band were just fucking
So was it just you as main support? There were no other bands?
Yeah, it's
I
just
think it
us.
was,
Days.
it was just us,
And how did you
Slash
go
doesn't
down?
need local support, does he?
No, exactly. I saw him when he was in Manchester a month ago, something like that, and he had Phil Campbell supporting.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Yeah,
Phil
man.
Campbell's band.
We went down great, the first gig, Belfast, I can remember, we just sold all the t-shirts that we had, and all the CDs, we didn't bring enough merch with us, it was mental. And it was kind of around that time that sort of we got, Classic Rock Magazine did a thing on us, and then they've always sort of supported us and stuff. It was, like I say, that and New Model Army was sort of the beginning for us, really, in terms of learning about touring and, going further afield than Manchester.
Just going off on a chronological tangent again now, but tying in with like classic rock, how do you find that mainstream media are treating you now you've gone on your own? Like how's the reaction to Northern Sun Sessions by the big magazines, Kerrang, Classic Rock?
I think it's probably more difficult because you don't have a team working, with if I wanted to get hold of someone and maybe there's 5 other people that have connections to, then it's a lot easier than just me sending an email and then you don't hear anything back, and then you can't really bombard people without being detrimental.
They're inundated, aren't they, with emails all the time?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, Classic Rock have always been really cool with us, really great.
Yeah, good.
And Scott Rowley gave it an incredible review, on his own kind of social platform, which was really, really cool. But yeah, I think like Vive La Rock as well, we've kind of gained.
That's a great magazine.
Yeah, gained a fan in them as well.
Yeah.
I think like that we weren't as interested in the past couple of albums, but it's like...
Yeah, it's a weird one. I'd say probably there's been more doors that were always closed to us that have been opened up from this album. But on the other hand, there has been some that we always would have got in that aren't picking up the phone to us now, because it is kind of like where you sort of you're going against the club. Do you know what I mean?
They'll learn.
Yeah.
Well, it might, you know, like it might have to be that way, because I think like more and more bands are going to have to start doing it themselves. I think the reason why we can do what we're doing is because Danny does the web stuff and the artwork, and you know, I'm learning all about the recording more, and we can actually produce, starting to mix, and I don't know, form our own industry really. And I think we've had to do that just because of the way things are, and I think more and more bands will probably start doing that.
Yeah. Did you mix Northern Sun sessions?
No.
Did you send that off?
No, we sent that off to a mate, yeah. But I'm starting to, that's what I'm spending my time doing really now, you know, learning more and more about.
I mean, Cast the First Stone, you had Mike Fraser mixing it. He's a legend.
Yeah, that come about from Tobe. I think Tobe, he must have either produced or mixed one of the Little Angel records, so he knew him, and then I guess he'd sent the demos, and then he turned around and said I really love it, and we actually got to meet him at Classic Rock Awards.
Yeah. Really nice guy.
Yeah, but no, that again, I mean, you know, that was the first. I can still remember it. You know, when you're hearing it back, like Mike Fraser just sent the first song mix, and you get to hear it back like that, and it's like, wow, this is like what I've always wanted to hear your music like a real band. You know what I mean? It's cool. You know, I'll never get that again. No matter who mixes our next record, it'll just be kind of like, maybe that could be better. But
it's like the first time, and I know you two are big United fans, like the first time you'd have walked into Old Trafford, that feeling.
Yeah, totally.
You never get that feeling ever again.
No,
times you go,
because you just know what it is, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's it's one of the saddest things really. Like the magic of recording kind of is gone the further and further down you get into it, you know. Because to us, when we heard that Mike Fraser, or to me anyway, it was like, this is the best record ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know.
It's still a great record now.
Yeah, man. No, he did a really, really great job, man. I mean, obviously, I think there's about 3 songs off that EP that ended up on the first album, King of Conflict, but I'm pretty sure they got remixed, didn't they?
Yeah, it was Chris Sheldon.
Chris Sheldon remixed them all. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, well, going on to after King of Conflict, you then released Divides, which it's different, isn't it? The first is very political, Divides. So when you were writing the lyrics for Divides, were you in a different place than you were when you wrote?
Yeah, different headspace. I think like the band as well was starting to. Like no one was as happy, I don't think. I think the industry had pretty much worn us out, right. And I think Matt was really not kind of happy with where he was. Do you know what I mean? It was the start of kind of. I think he left
the industry.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think like that album in particular. We'd done the King of Conflict album. We'd just been touring around America, and like you could feel it. There was loads of momentum coming. We came back to do a UK tour, sold out all the shows. I think we did Academy 2, which is like 900 and sold out with like a month to go, and that was when it was like shit. And it would at that point we were talking about making the second record, and it took 2 years from that day before it come out. And looking back, them 2 years was the bit that really broke us, because it just the momentum went, and
the dynamic had changed, doesn't it? And
just all
everyone was exhausted, I think, and just like didn't have the spark really anymore. But
why did it take so long, and why 2 years?
I remember we had to. It was really complicated. I mean, this is why we sort of fell out with so many people. I think that it took ages to get this contract signed to the label in America, because they wanted to make the record, and then we started. So let's say I think we got it signed around January, whatever year it was, and then in May we started making the record. We'd finished the record in September, and the label. We'd just gone with Spine Farm, I think it was, and I don't know who decided it, but they decided it wasn't going to come out till the following May. So it was weird, because it was like we'd started making it in May, it didn't come out till May, and yeah, I don't know. There's just so many. That album, as great as that album is, and obviously getting to work with Gil, I look back on it now and think it should have been a lot happier.
Yeah.
I don't have any memories of like selling out the Ritz and stuff, and I should do.
Really?
It was just it was just such a bad vibe at that point. You know, you could tell things were ending in a lot of ways.
So how did it come about? Was it through? Did you say you was working with Spine Farm?
Yeah. So
did it come through Spine Farm that you worked with Gil?
No. We were kind of exclusively signed to Wind Up Records in New York, and they licensed it out to
Spine Farm.
To Spine Farm, but I mean, Wind Up were incredible with us, and it was pretty much who do you want to produce.
Really?
Yeah, it was like Gil Norton.
What an offer.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. It was.
Is Gil now based in the States?
No, he's down south.
Liverpool, isn't
He
he?
is.
Yeah. I think when we first met him, like he came to Mac to do all the pre-production. It's mad to think Gil Norton was staying in Mac and doing like so we did it in the studio in Trackside, and when he turned up, I think I just automatically thought he was going to be American, and then he had this Liverpool accent. It was like, shit, yeah, because obviously all these
a lot of the bands,
of the big bands,
the bands are American.
Yeah, and he said like, I always get that. Everybody thinks I'm American, but it come about from them. Like they just said to us, go away and who do you want to work with, and Gil was like the top of all of our lists because of them albums that we loved, the Foo Fighters and Pixies and stuff, and he was the first one that came back straight away. I think he got sent the demos and just said love it, and then we had a conference call with him, and he'd already made shitloads of notes on all the songs. Like he'd obviously really got into them, so it was like a no-brainer. We had to work with him.
So he was a fan of the band then?
Yeah, he loved it. Like when he heard the stuff, and he moved a lot of stuff around to kind of work with us, and
cool.
Cut down the cost coming up here and staying in like a B&B, and he's an amazing guy, Gil. I really love him, and I'd just love to go back to that time. There was just so much going on, like we'd fallen out with people we were working with, and just general unhappiness really, where we didn't think everyone was just right. Gil's in control, he knows what he's doing, just do everything that he says type of thing, which is great, but maybe it just didn't have the...
It was, looking back, there was such a great feeling when the first album come out, King of Conflict, everything was so exciting, and it was like, wow, this is great. When the second album come out, it was sort of dead within 6 months, really. It was over. Maybe even less than that.
Well, they didn't have the backing, really. It wasn't being pushed. I actually preferred Divides myself to King of Conflict, but I'd love to go back and do it again.
Right.
Yeah, there's just a general sense, I think, looking back, that it was ending then. Even before that album come out, it felt like there was no good feeling about the album going to do anything, I don't think, because it was just... I mean, I remember the press person we were using called an emergency meeting because we hadn't heard anything that was going out, and the album was coming out in 2 weeks, and we sat down, and the first thing they said was like, right, this is the official press release going out. It's like the Virginmarys' third album, Divides. And I was like, sorry, did you say the third album? She was like, yeah, third album. It was like, second album. And she was like, no, it's your third album. And it was like, it's the second album.
So like you thought Cast First Storm was your first album?
Basically, our manager, all the songs that we'd done on them 3 EPs that didn't make the first record, he just compiled it into one on iTunes and just put Virginmarys. She looked at it. Yeah, she got the iPad out and was like, look, King of Conflict first album, there's your second album, and this one's your third. And I was like, no, that's just to come. And then, but no shit, she just looked at me and was like, oh no, we know that, but we just wanted to acknowledge that you've done this body of work, but we know that this is the second act. And it was like...
Yeah, just backtracking.
And at that point, we'd been told that The Sun had reviewed it, and Daily Mail, and all these that were really good. And we kept asking, saying, oh, can we have a look at the reviews? And she was like, oh, well, I'm still not sent it yet. And you knew something was up. Sure enough, when we read them, it was like the Virginmarys' third album. It'd already gone out.